Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about who's in the news, and it's Bill Gates this time. So it's been pretty much flashed all over the media that Bill Gates is getting divorced. So I thought we might look at his chart to see what's going on in his chart, because this is a huge life-changing event. So let's put up Bill Gates' chart. And the chart that I use has a Gemini ascendant. This is the most perfect ascendant that he could have based on the fact that he was one of the first creators of the internet. I mean, Gemini ascendant with Mercury, his chart ruler, ruling Gemini, goes to the 4th house in Virgo. And it is exalted in Virgo, of course. Mercury is the planet of intelligence. Mercury is the planet that deals with the cognitive thinking. And for his Mercury, by the way, to be exalted and in an angle, which the angular houses are 1, 4, 7, and 10, means he has a Bhadra Yoga, which Bhadra Yoga means when Mercury's exalted or in its own sign in an angle, that means that Mercury can only be actually in Gemini or Virgo and in an angular house. This means he has a Bhadra Yoga, which means that everything to do with Mercury is who he is. Mental, cognitive, smart, intelligence, always doing something, always thinking. And Mercury definitely is all about communications. And what is the internet? The creation of the internet and computers is what really keeps us all connected. It's quite amazing. And he has quite an array of planets in the 5th house, which actually his Venus being in Libra with exalted Saturn in Libra in the 5th house is very powerful. As a matter of fact, he has a perfect Lakshmi Yoga. What is a Lakshmi Yoga? Well, Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth. And when people have a Lakshmi Yoga, they have wealth in their life. And the requirements to have a Lakshmi Yoga, first of all, is Venus must be in its sign of rulership or exaltation. Has to be. So there's only 3 signs Venus can be in, which would be Libra, Taurus, or Pisces. Venus rules Taurus and Libra, but it's exalted in Pisces. And after you have that requirement, which his Venus, of course, is in Libra, then the next requirement is that the ruler of the 1st house must be strong by sign and house. Well, the ruler of the 1st house is Mercury. He's got a Bhadra Yoga. It couldn't be stronger, really. The 3rd requirement in my book is the ruler of the 9th house must be powerful and strong as well. So if you go to the 9th house, it's Aquarius with Gemini ascendant, and Saturn rules Aquarius. Is Saturn strong by sign and house? I should say so. It's exalted in Libra, and it's in the auspicious triconal house of the 5th house. Beautiful. He's got a perfect Lakshmi Yoga. So one of the indications of his massive fortune and wealth. But let's talk about what's going on with him right now and why all of this is happening to him. I see so many astrological reasons. And the first reason is where Saturn is transiting. Saturn is transiting in Capricorn right now, and at the time of his announcement that he's getting divorced, you can see that transiting Saturn is in his 8th house. This is the house of endings. And if you'll look, what I have marked in his chart, you'll see where I have BP, that represents the Brigue point. What is the Brigu point in Vedic astrology? It is actually, there's a way to calculate it, but it is actually the midpoint between the moon and Rahu in the natal chart. And I find it fascinating that his Brigu point is at 19 degrees of Capricorn in his 8th house. Guess where Saturn is now and at the time of his announcing the divorce? And Saturn is stationing to go retrograde at that degree mark, 19 degrees of Capricorn. So it's standing still there. This is very, very difficult. If I didn't know better, I would think it would be something about his life personally. But this is devastating. And don't forget, the 8th house is the house of disgrace and humiliation. Now, I don't know if any of you heard, and I don't know if it's a rumor, but I don't think so. I think it's been pretty well documented that his wife, Melinda French Gates, she said that he left and went to go with Jeffrey Epstein at some point. And this was the deciding point where she couldn't live with him anymore. This is what she's claimed was really what broke up their marriage. So with her coming out with this information, what is that? It's disgrace and humiliation. And I also noticed that his natal moon, which resides in his 10th house, which is the house that deals with your reputation, your career, your business. And the moon in the 10th house many, many times can mean that you're famous. You're well known in your field of expertise. Let me put it that way. So to have his natal moon in the 10th, he's well known for what he does. But on top of that, transiting Saturn is aspecting his natal moon almost exactly. His moon's at, what, around 14 degrees of Pisces? And Saturn, it has been aspecting it by its 3rd full Vedic aspect. So here's where the disgrace, humiliation, and his reputation is destroyed over this divorce. And I've often noticed many, many times when people do go through divorces, they have Saturn either on the moon, opposing the moon, somehow aspecting the natal moon. Because remember, when Saturn is on the moon, you're in the dire depths of sati when Saturn comes to the moon. Now, another thing that I find fascinating about his chart and what is exactly going on right now is the fact that Neptune is around 29 degrees of Aquarius, okay? So if you'll look in his chart, his midhaven, his MC, which represents the focal point of your career, it's the highest point in the chart, and it represents your career. Neptune is transiting over his MC right now, which Neptune is deception, deceit, denial. Things are not clear, things are not fair, and you're being deceived in a huge, big way. Or somebody is taking something from you one way or another. It is a really deceptive thing when Neptune hits the MC. But at the same time, around next April, something will happen when Jupiter joins that point with Neptune. Maybe he'll go into movie business, something different. I wouldn't doubt that, because Neptune rules cameras, film, photography, and movies. And another thing is, he could get into some serious trouble over some of the things maybe he said before concerning what? Him deceiving others with, it could even have something to do with, I don't know, something to do with what's been going on in the world. We will see. This is a lot. One last thing I see happening, well, a lot of other things were happening, is transiting Uranus has been opposing all of his fifth house planets. Uranus is the planet of change. Unexpected, big changes. This hit the world, and all of a sudden, he's not looking too good to everyone. But his whole life is changing dramatically because of this event. It will never be the same. Never. And maybe he'll change in a positive way and wake up in a positive way. Because I always call Uranus the Great Awakener. So we will see where that goes. One more thing with the eclipses that have been happening, especially the one that's happening in June. Rahu sits with the eclipse. The eclipse is at 25 degrees of Taurus, but Rahu's is at 16 degrees of Taurus. And when we have eclipses, the node stands still. You know, there's something called the mean node and the true node. Well, the true node, the true motion of Rahu and Ketu is very erratic. And around the time of eclipses, they stand still for 3 months. And they're standing still at 16 degrees. Notice where his Mars is. 16 degrees of Virgo. Rahu's full aspect, in my opinion, is a trinal aspect. And Rahu is aspecting his Mars in the fourth house, destroying his family, destroying his peace of mind, destroying his happiness and security. And you might say also, with the moon being ruler of the second house is family. Saturn's aspecting his moon right now. His family is being destroyed. And one last thing, he's losing a lot of money, I'd have to say, or dividing up a lot of money. And many people think there is a reason for all this, but let me just put it this way. Saturn aspecting the moon, and the moon rules the second house of money. He's not going to have as much as he did before. This is a change. So with that, I think you can see all that's going on, why this all came to happen. But I want people to really understand that the Brigue point, it's called the destiny point. And when you have malefics hitting it, especially Saturn, not only transiting over it, but standing still, it will be a very, very difficult time. But likewise, I want to add this too. If you have a benefic going over your Brigue point, it's very good. So this was his destiny. This was his karma to have to go through what is happening now. And I am sure it is very painful for him right now by the fact of looking at his chart. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information about me, go to my website and sign up for my free newsletter. Check out my beautiful jewelry. I'm selling malas and prayer beads. And don't forget, if you want to study Vedic astrology with me, take this to the next level. I'm starting a new semester one, a beginning semester one, June 16th. Check it out. University of Vedic Astrology.com and sign up for my newsletter on galacticcenter.org. Thank you.